This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is sponsored by Pure Creative Apparel. From logo design to specialty clothing to branded merchandise, the team at Pure Creative Apparel can take your ideas and bring them to life. You can find out more at purecreativeapparel.com, and we thank Pure Creative Apparel for sponsoring this week's show. Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I am, of course, your humble host, Amy.
And I am your ever so humble co-host, Dana.
Oh, really? You're not humble.
I'm ever so humble.
And I am excited about this week's episode because it is really part 2 of our discussion of our trip to Huntsville.
Yeah, Huntsville was a trip that I took for work, as you all know from listening to last week's episode, and it ended up being a treasure trove of places in terms of their food and beverage scene. And I think it gives us a chance to talk about some other things that are running related without necessarily being about a particular race. This was...
Sure enough.
Yeah, it wasn't a travel week for a race, but it was still a travel week.
Right.
And for runners, traveling has its ups and downs and its problems.
I think you really have to be thoughtful when you travel anywhere and you want to keep your training going for an upcoming race, or if you are traveling to a race.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest shortcoming as a runner who travels a lot is I tend to forget important gear like hydration packs and thankfully, knock on wood, not ever my shoes, but
oh boy,
I'm bad about that. I really am.
Hey, at least we've never been in that situation where we've been on a flight and they've lost our luggage.
Oh, why did you say that out loud?
Well, you just knocked on wood, so.
Well, that's because I know that I'm going to forget something else.
Well, I think that we kind of check and balance each other when we're packing.
Yeah, true, but somehow it's never when I'm packing. It's the stuff that I leave it hanging on the back of the chair to either throw in the car later or, I'm going to put this in the carry-on, or it just... Without fail, I always leave something and have to make that last minute run.
Well, I mean, and thank goodness for some really great expos and local running stores and things like that you can, if worst comes to worst and there is a running emergency, then usually you can find at the expo things that you can replace.
Yeah, 90% of your gear problems you can usually address at a runner's expo.
Yeah.
If it's not a big enough race to have an expo, when you hit the ground in the city, going to a local run shop is a good option. And then the other 10% is the local pharmacy or grocery store, whatever the case may be.
You can fill in the blanks. It's just like, and the reason I brought that up is because I'm reading that book from that MEBS 26 marathons, and I listened to part of it while I was on the 8.5 miler today for this week's training. And he talked about one of his races. They lost his luggage that included his running shoes, his racing shoes for the race.
Ouch.
So I'm not wishing ill on us. I'm just saying that thank goodness it hasn't happened to us, and I hope that it never does.
I agree completely. But the point is that this week we want to talk about some travel tips for runners.
Yes.
Particularly...
Let's be proactive.
Yeah. Packing for the weather you're going to.
Yeah. I think we were really lucky and had some gorgeous weather in Alabama when we were there.
Oh, it was perfect training weather.
But there have been races in the past where we've kind of had to modify what we were wearing.
Yeah. I was careful to say packing for the weather you're going to, because we have had situations where we were leaving warm Florida
Oh, yeah.
and arriving in near freezing temperatures.
Oh,
And,
yes.
and just on the drive alone, the temperature drop was significant.
You're thinking of Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the last 2 years that we've gone to Jeff Galloway's half marathon weekend in December, then it has been nice and sunny when we get in the car to make the drive. And then when we get out of the car,
It's 25 degrees.
oh my God. And it's just like, where's the jacket? Where we shouldn't have worn like flip flops.
Great for driving in. But
Yeah.
it's
But-
important to plan ahead, though, and
Yeah.
know where you're heading to.
Yes. And in that particular instance, I would say we, this past year, encountered cold and rain on both Barb's 5K and Jeff's half marathon.
Yeah, this year was kind of an oddball year for that. We had back-to-back days.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, when we were packing, I really wasn't thinking. And we got up there and we were talking to some of our Extra Miler podcast friends. And they're like, yeah, we brought 2 pairs of shoes. What's with you? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it, because the first day it was raining on us the entire race,
Mm-hmm.
the entire 5K. And I only had the 1 pair of shoes.
Well, me too. I didn't pack extra shoes. Honestly, I tend to pack light anyway. So light, I leave things at home sometimes. But even when I'm fully packed, I don't normally budget in my weekend bag room for 2 pairs of shoes.
But if you look ahead and you see in the forecast that you might have that back-to-back rain, that might be an advantageous thing so that you don't have soaking wet shoes to kind of weigh you down.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of strategies people have for drying shoes out overnight.
Oh, that too. Yeah. I don't know. I've never tested that.
I think, well, I have, and I think they're of mixed efficacy. I think that ultimately the best route to go would be to pack that second pair of shoes if you're doing
think so.
like a challenge weekend
Mhm.
and you see that the forecast is calling for rain. That might be an opportunity for you to budget that extra space and be willing to maybe recycle a couple of shirts or some other gear in your bag instead of packing the extra shirt that you're probably not going to wear anyway.
Or like out to celebrate afterwards or something like that.
Celebrate your race shirt.
Celebrate in the race shirt that they're going to give you for registering for the race anyway, right?
Exactly. Or don't take an extra running shirt or 2 and just trust in the fact that the one you are going to get from the race is going to fit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, what happens when you have that cold weather, but it's supposed to warm up over the period of the race? Like, we had at the Donna Marathon weekend.
Well, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll pack relatively light clothing, maybe layer. So they may have a couple of shirts on. And then we've seen it a lot when we were racing out in California. People were running to a local Target and buying relatively inexpensive sweatshirts. So they would start out with the sweatshirt, and then that was the shirt that they were willing to peel off, knowing that the race organizers collect that and then donate them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we hear about that at Donna. We hear about that at Disney. So that's not an uncommon practice.
And also, I've even heard people suggest, when you arrive in town, going to hit, like, say, a Goodwill or another thrift store, that we can save a few bucks for something you're just going to discard anyway.
Or have you seen some people have like the trash bag kind of strategy?
We've done the trash bag strategy. I can speak from experience. The year that we did the Splash and Dash.
Oh, yeah, Wine and Dine.
The last year, the Wine and Dine, or the next to last year, Wine and Dine was at night. That was a relatively cold, or for Florida, cool temperature wise, and then raining. And then all I did was I threw a couple of yard size trash bags in my side pocket, and rather than get into anything fancy, I literally on the race course opened the bag and tore a head hole in it.
Yeah.
And there was a young lady on that course that was so bad off. She was shivering.
She was like leaning against a guardrail when we were passing a mile marker.
Not doing well at all. And I gave her an extra bag and she was able to do the exact same thing. And, you know, surprisingly, if you've never done that, it actually holds in a good bit of heat.
It does.
And it'll get you through because and it's a great windbreaker. Nothing's getting through the plastic there.
You just don't have anything covering your head.
No, I mean, it's not perfect, but most people or a lot of people run with some sort of head covering anyway, whether it's a ball cap or a visor, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Making sure that you have, if you're going to be running in a place where there's a lot of sun, throwing a visor in your bag.
True.
When we go for a colder weather run, I throw a couple of beanies in just in case.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I can't stand is in cold weather, your ears getting really, really cold because that hurts.
Or your hands, like just.
Yeah, the hands.
That's tough.
Hands are tough. I have used for work. I've used the chemical hand warmers that once you expose them to air and you kind of crunch them a little bit, they work really well and they'll go for a couple of hours. And
so they're like the instant ice packs, but not.
But the reverse.
But the heat element. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And those are pretty good. And they don't take up a lot of room in luggage. I don't know what the TSA says about that. So
well, couldn't you pick those up?
You could pick them up.
Because haven't I seen them at Walgreens, kind of like near the cash register?
You'll see them at grocery stores sometimes, drug stores, and certainly at sporting goods stores.
So you could get them and not have to worry about what TSA is going to say.
Right.
And a lot of people who go to the Disney races have talked about ordering from Amazon and then having shipped to whatever hotel they're staying at, so that they have like those throwaway inexpensive clothes that you talked about, like the hand or the foot warmers that you just mentioned. So, or like, you know, just anything that they might not want to go through airport security with, but that they need at the race, or that kind of thing.
Yeah. And just remember that if you're going to do that at some point, if you are traveling and you've got to go back through airport security, you got to either be able to pack it in your bag, get an extra inexpensive bag to pack and take on the plane, or that's going to be something that you're going to donate.
You're going to donate or you're going to ditch, because those are like those hand and foot warmers are just like one-shot deals.
Those are one-shot deals. I'm talking about the clothing, like if you're doing the extra outer layers.
Yeah.
You know, just keep that in mind. You know, plan ahead for that.
And when you're packing initially, like you and I are big fans of the Exofficio brand.
Yeah, not a paid sponsorship, just something that's been really successful. Exofficio, they do a line of travel clothing. I mean, that really is their thing. Yep. And almost all their stuff is made out of moisture wicking materials.
Very breathable. Or
has a high SPF or is insect resistant. So it actually, the mosquitoes can't bite through it. And they'll have things like underwear and shirts that are actually made and intended to be washed in a sink and hung up and able to dry basically overnight. So you can pack fewer items and, you know, they'll shake out relatively wrinkle free so that you look presentable when you go in public.
Yeah.
Great stuff. A little on the pricey side, to be perfectly honest. If you catch it on sale, grab it.
Yes.
But I've got some of their shirts and underwear. You've got some of their stuff too. And it's really fantastic.
Very durable.
Yes.
Also.
Yes. And it's good build quality, super comfortable, and you wouldn't look at it and go, that's a travel shirt.
Right.
It just looks like a shirt.
And, these are some of the things that we're thinking of, but I think that we might have some listeners or some viewers that might have some travel tips, like hidden gems as well.
Yeah, now we've mentioned a few things, packing some extra stuff, having things delivered, buying a couple of items when you get there. What are your travel tips? What are the things that you have worked for you in the past that you would recommend that we give a try, or things that you want to share with other people that have really worked for you, that saved your bacon, and you want to help people avoid that problem when they're traveling? How should people let us know?
So, and if they call us and they leave us a message, we could play it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes. Or
We're getting so fancy.
Well, I mean, you've set us up very well. So
we'll see. As long as all the technology cooperates, we're going to sound awesome.
Yeah. We're going to test this out, and we want your help, right? So we have an email address and we have a phone number. So the email address is info@runeatdrink.net.
And you're wanting people to email a quick sound clip, like they could record on their phone or their computer?
Yeah, they could do like a little voice memo on their mobile phone and they could send it to us. Or, I mean, you could just write it out and we could read it.
That too. If you read it, we'll read it with dramatic flair and maybe even some mood music.
Or like sound effects or something. I don't know.
That's a lot of Foley work. I'm going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, man. Come on. Or they could call us at 941-677-2733, which will be in our show notes as well. 941-677-2733.
And standard long distance rates would apply for that call. But
I mean,
most people on their cell phone in the continental U.S. probably
unlimited minutes.
Most people, not everybody. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you, and we would love to share those on next week's show.
Now, if you're trying to do some of this creative packing, we found a little something that actually works really well. And regardless of the brand of luggage that you have or whatever, I saw these and I'm like, wow, I think this would be really cool to try. So I decided to give them to you for Christmas and let you be the guinea pig.
Well, thank you. And I'm not a guinea pig. I like to say in the family, I'm the pioneer.
Oh, okay. You're one step ahead. You're a leader.
Yes.
Okay.
The final frontier. No. It's not like that. So, yeah. So, yes. I was woefully in need of new luggage.
You were.
And
you had a very sad bag that had seen better days.
Like, what was that, 10 years old?
Easily.
I don't know. But we had been hearing on all of our other podcasts that we listened to about Away Luggage.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not a paid sponsor. We just love it.
Mm-hmm.
We would love for them to be someday. But they make some pretty great luggage with the carry-on that has the battery.
Yeah, the removable
battery.
So you can charge your devices.
Yes. And I had gotten Dana, I got that for you for your birthday last year.
Yes.
To test out.
Yeah. So in a way, I was the guinea pig. You were the pioneer. I don't know how that works.
Can't we just call each other pioneers? What is guinea pig? I don't.
Beta tester.
Okay. Whatever it is, whatever connotation or spin you want to put on it, he had the luggage first. So I loved it. They have all sorts of different colors. And so he got me the carry-on.
Mm-hmm.
The same size, the bigger carry-on, the same size that I got you last year in a different color. Mm-hmm. But to go along with it, he got me packing cubes.
And if you've never seen these, and I had never had experience with them or seen them up close, I thought that they were hard-sided, like boxes basically with zippered tops. In fact, They're not. They're soft-sided,
right?
And with zippered tops and a mesh cover. So. And they're various different sizes.
Mm-hmm. I think like you got me a couple of big ones and then a couple of small ones so that we could actually, I think that it compacts the clothing that you pack when you put it in the cubes, and then it's kind of like Tetris in your bag.
Exactly.
Where you can fit more because it's not like it's not like those space bags where you like suck all the air out of it.
No.
But it's not like that. But it is helping you make the most out of every inch of space in your bag.
And that is true. When you're done packing, there is not a square inch left in that bag.
Seriously. And I will tell you, I first heard about packing cubes on the Be Our Guest podcast. Pam Forrester on the Be Our Guest podcast recommended them to Ricky Nibbs on that show. But they weren't the away ones.
No, and there are tons of companies that make them. Since I got you the away bag, I got you the companion product,
like the whole trifecta.
And it was, I think they're really sharp. And again, watching how much you're able to pack with the help of those cubes,
because I pack a lot.
Super effective, and lets you organize things so you can put all your shirts in one, all your delicates in another.
Yeah.
You could throw a couple of pairs of shoes in one if you wanted to. You could throw your toiletries in one. However you feel like organizing it, it lets you be the judge of that, but it just really lets you maximize the space that's in your luggage.
And you could, depending on the hotel room that you have, that you end up in, you could, you know how they have the luggage where you can set the luggage on the stand when you get into the hotel room, that you could like unzip those, and theoretically they could almost be like drawers if you had to live out of them.
Yeah, you can literally just unpack your bag by
unzipping
those,
the cubes.
And just using your luggage as a drawer, or putting the cubes in the drawers.
Mm-hmm. So it helps keep you organized. You just have to then work the Tetris to get everything back in, plus like that brand new race shirt and all of that you happen to get at an expo if you can't control yourself.
It never we have fits the same going back as it is going out to the race.
Amy can't control herself at an expo, but that's a whole other story. But at any rate, the point is, the packing cubes were an awesome gift.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you very much. And they are highly recommended for packing efficiently.
And are you going to link to some packing cubes and show notes for people, just to give them an idea?
Yeah. I can link to the away ones that we did. And then if I can go back through and I can find the ones that Pam and Ricky and Mike were talking about, I will.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of our tips. We can't wait to hear your tips for packing and traveling. So, send it into us.
On.
Email, call us. We really want to hear from you, and we want to share those on next week's episode.
Yes.
So, packing was done. Again, we're just in a training week this week, but we
8.5 miles, baby.
And we
this week.
we were still out in Huntsville, and we still have so much to share with you from Huntsville. This week, we're going to tell you about a place that Amy discovered while she was exploring the downtown area while I was sitting in class.
Who knew about downtown Huntsville?
I know.
Who knew?
Like I said, a treasure trove.
And I texted him pictures of this place, and I was like, we have to go here because we are, I think, children of the 1980s, children of the 1990s will love this place. Also, anybody into video games, I think Pints and Pixels is what the name of this place is. Yes, it has such a great theme. Yeah,
80s and 90s video games and a gastropub.
Yeah, and like pinball machines, and Anaheim Chili provides their food.
Yeah, talking with our server, she was great, and she's like
knowledgeable.
Yeah, Pints and Pixels runs the front of the house, which is the video games and the bar, and Anaheim Chili Company runs the kitchen.
And let me tell you, they know how to bring heat to a dish.
Yeah,
really. They do. And it was so hard to pick things. And we spent a couple of hours there because we just wanted to play the video games and the pinball machines. And
we went out with a couple of friends that were there.
And we were just having such a great time that we ordered several different appetizers and chili from their menu, a couple of different types of chili from their menu over several hours that we didn't get to that meatloaf sandwich that I really, really wanted to try because they go to a late night menu.
They do, but really by the end of it, we were still pretty full.
Well, we were, but I was like, oh, God, we needed to come back, and that meatloaf sandwich looks so good. But I can give you firsthand experience with plenty of their appetizers that we had and some of their chili from their awesome and spicy menu.
And by the way, their varied menu, this place, when we say chili, Anaheim Chili Company, a lot of people think of Anaheim Chilies as in the plant. This is Anaheim Chili as in CHILI, the stew-like food product, the bowl of deliciousness. And I think that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different kinds of chili on their menu that you could get just a cup all the way, 6 ounces, all the way to a big bowl at 20 ounces.
And at varying spice levels.
Spice levels, types of chili, recipes, different culinary areas that they're drawing from, some fantastic options, and something that just about anybody, whether you're a meat lover, vegetarian, I think, gluten-free.
Gluten-free, yeah.
They had an option there for you.
Yeah, and they have different sizes so that you could actually potentially, you could get a little, like I had a little tiny cup, like a 6-ounce cup, but they go all the way up to a triple cup. You could get a bowl, a double bowl, like a big bowl. It's like super huge. But I thought, well, we're gonna try a few appetizers. I thought, I'll try a little bowl of chili, and I tried the Pesole,
and I had the green chili.
Oh,
and the Pesole, which was one of their gluten-free options. We make something similar to this at home every now and then, but that was a dark meat chicken and hominy base with cumin, oregano, lime, cilantro, and serrano peppers, and do tell.
And I'm going to tell you, I love a tomatillo kind of base to like a green base to a chili. And they actually had a fantastic chimichurri sauce on its own or mixed with like sour cream and kind of thinned out. And I had our server bring me both of those to accompany this bowl of chili. Not that it needed it, but she was talking about the chimichurri, and I was like, oh yeah, you got to bring me some of that.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with chimichurri sauce, that's
cilantro.
Like cilantro and parsley and garlic, and it's got citrus and oil, and it's basically like this really green,
sauce.
Tart, spicy condiment.
Yeah, it adds a punch. An herbaceous and acidic punch to whatever. We've gotten it on pizza before. We've gotten it on tacos before. This was served when we requested it with the Pesole, and I'm telling you, the dark meat chicken. Oh my God. So tender, so juicy, so flavorful. And it was so like the smokiness from the cumin.
Well, the one spoonful of yours that you gave me.
Well, I mean, I only had a cup, so
the chicken was cooked perfectly. I'm a huge fan of hominy.
I love hominy,
which is that big kernels of corn.
It almost looks like corn. Yeah,
it is corn. And it's
from the cob, but it's bigger. It's like fluffier. It's almost a bean consistency.
Bean sized.
Yeah.
But it gives you that great corn flavor that goes with the chicken. And you weren't kidding. I mean, you ordered so well.
I should have gotten. Well, I didn't. Because we got a smaller cup, but we were able to try a lot of different things from the appetizer menu. So, but that bowl, that cup was just awesome.
It really was.
I highly recommend it if you are into kind of a green stew chili kind of thing. Very, very good. How was yours?
Well, I went different. I went with what they called their green chili, and the base for that was pork and potatoes, and they spiced it with cilantro and coriander and garnished it with serrano peppers. So
Serrano.
Yeah, say a little heat, you know.
Is that like, I mean, how would you rate it against a jalapeno?
Oh gosh, I don't.
For your palate.
For my palate,
Yeah.
I much prefer the flavor of serrano to jalapeno. Yeah. I don't think these were not especially hot.
Okay.
That I had. There was a building heat kind of in the back of your throat.
The more you ate.
But this wasn't like a smack you in your face. And I think that jalapenos can be so inconsistent.
Yeah.
You can have one that is really not much hotter than a bell pepper sometimes, and you can have some that just smack you right in the face. And
hello.
Yeah. And this, I don't know if it was just, the quality of peppers they had or if they're that consistent all the time, but these had a good warming heat.
And there are some that add that warming heat, and then there are some that also add a layer of flavor as well.
Yes.
And I think that serranos and habaneros have that kind of heat, but also a pepper flavor as well.
And for me, that's the real key. Like I've said in the last episode and in previous episodes, I do enjoy spice, but I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I'm not eating spice to show off. I'm eating spice because I want there to be some good flavor in what we're eating. So, I mean, technically a serrano is hotter, when you start talking about Scovilles, but like I said, they're kind of inconsistent, or at least the jalapenos that we tend to get down here in Florida are a little inconsistent. And I just like the flavor of, we were just discussing the other night. I made a couple of salsas here at home. I prefer the flavor of a habanero, even though a habanero is way hotter than a jalapeno. And if you clean them and prep them right, actually, you can get most of the heat out.
And then you get that fruity flavor.
Right.
And then there are some peppers that offer a waxy type of flavor.
Exactly.
So
depends on what you're going for.
Yeah.
But they really did a great job in terms of what they picked. That was, I think the best way I could describe it would be almost like a bowl of carnitas.
Ooh.
That's the best way I could describe it. Carnitas over potatoes. I mean, it was just a warm, satisfying, hearty, and I got the cup also. I didn't do a huge portion.
Right.
And then just a hearty portion, and I love cilantro. We all know this. Pork, when slow cooked pork, I think they probably use pork shoulder, pork butt, and coriander is such a warm spice. I just think it was just a very satisfying cup of chili. So
yeah, they really, those two that we had,
if those two are any indication
pork.
of the other stuff, they had several others. They had a Cincinnati chili, which was ground beef over pasta with kind of a neat combination of cinnamon, clove, and cocoa in the spices, and they garnished that with bean, cheese, and onion. They were doing white chili with chicken and Great Northern beans. They were doing vegetarian 3-bean chili with kidneys, pintos, and black beans. So, I mean,
variety.
Like I said,
I think variety.
You could find something that would satisfy you as far as their chilies goes. But they weren't just about chili.
No. Do you know, my favorite appetizer was the Texas spring rolls.
Really?
Yeah.
Not what I expected you to say, but okay.
Why? What did you expect me to say?
I thought you were going to say what's coming next.
Well, okay. So it was so good, and it's the Texas chili.
Which is?
What does it have in it? It was like the red chili.
Yeah, red chili.
Like the red chili that they have.
I think it had beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And black beans and and the sauce. The sauce was that chimichurri creamy sauce.
The dipping sauce.
The dipping sauce that came alongside of it. It was like an egg roll consistency with that chili and the beans inside.
Yeah, so
they were
fried
split open. They fried it and they split it open. And it looked so pretty.
Which was an interesting presentation of that. Normally when you get like an egg roll that's wrapped on both ends and then rolled up, when they cut it, normally it's cut in half or cut on the bias. This was literally cut like almost right down the middle lengthwise to kind of open it up like a boat.
Yeah, it did look like a boat kind of.
And you just had this beautiful presentation of chili in there, and
it was crispy on the outside. It was not greasy in any way. And that sauce, like I said, I could drink that sauce.
Yeah, that was their special sauce, and again, that was like chimichurri and sour cream, and the waitress was so right that was excellent.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
But so that was your favorite.
I think that was my favorite, and we did have the skirt steak skewers.
Mm-hmm. That was what I thought you were going to say was your favorite.
And I do love steak. Generally, you know me. Mm-hmm. I love steak. But it was small, and I was like, I wanted more.
I understand.
I wanted more. And I guess that speaks to the great flavor, because it was a marinated skirt steak that was grilled and then served with the chimichurri that didn't have the sour cream mixed into it.
That's a traditional presentation of skirt steak.
And that was soft. I mean, you pulled it off the skewer, and it was like basically almost fall apart tender, but not quite, to still hold up to the skewer itself.
And again, skirt steak done right, super flavorful, super flavorful, and super tender. Done wrong, it's like chewing on your shoe, and they absolutely did it right.
Yeah.
So that one was really good. I also got a second one, and this one was a little bit kind of a nod to my southern roots. Mm-hmm. They had a appetizer called Chicharrones. Pardon my poor Spanish pronunciation.
Chicharrón.
But
no. I know. I just butchered it too. I can't do it. I can't do it.
No.
So I'm sorry. We apologize for our lack of pronunciation of this delicious appetizer.
They do fresh fried pork rinds, and they serve it with a house-made pimento cheese dip.
And it was actually creamy, and it was not like in some places where you go and you order pimento cheese, it will the cheddar, you can still see the shreds.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
hasn't been mixed well.
It hasn't
rested.
Or they decide to go with that kind of consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But this, it was great. It was a nice choice that you made.
When the place, and I said, are these made here on property? Because they were warm when they came to the table.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, the only thing we don't make here are our French fries.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, we don't need those.
Fair enough. So yeah, the pork rinds were fantastic.
So good.
And thankfully I had to laugh. The menu has them labeled as gluten-free because, when you're ordering the fried pork rinds and pimento cheese, you're looking for the healthy option.
Well, it's good to know, I guess, to avoid whatever.
But if you are avoiding gluten
or whatever sensitivities that you have,
Well, this is a good one to avoid gluten. No gluten there whatsoever. But
it's an indulgent choice.
Oh, it is. But it is so good, so worth it. So phenomenal food finds, and we've got some drink finds that we're not going anywhere else for this episode. We're actually going to talk about some stuff here at Pints and Pixels. Well, before we go on, I'm going to take a minute to tell you all about our friends at Pure Creative Apparel. Anybody can silkscreen a shirt. Look, we know it's true. I did it as a project in high school. But the team at Pure Creative Apparel is really much more than that. They will take you through the entire process to create your custom items right from the very beginning with the design of your artwork or company logo, then create mock-ups to show you what the finished product will look like and help you select just the right high-quality name brand clothing or other merchandise on which you're going to place your artwork or your logo. And then they'll get you your items fast. Or if you're not looking to get into the whole online sales thing and you don't want to worry about inventory, packaging, shipping, and all of that, Pure Creative Apparel has a complete e-commerce package available. So whether you're a school, church, or club needing just a few shirts for a special event, or a company looking for a complete branding package, Pure Creative Apparel can help. Find out how by going to purecreativeapparel.com. And we really thank them for their support of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
So I know that last week we spent some time talking about some cool beer options, some original and independent craft breweries and tap rooms that are around Huntsville, Alabama. This place served those kinds of beers to give a nod to the local and delicious, tasty brews. And, shout out to them as it's American Craft Beer Week.
That's true. As we are recording this, we are in the midst of American Craft Beer Week.
Yeah. So like last week, we talked about straight to ale. It was awesome. But here, I can't help but talk about the cocktails. And I know you had some beers there.
I had a cocktail also, but I had a couple of. I was trying to get as many of the local brews that were being featured as possible while we were traveling.
Yeah, but I couldn't help but have offerings from the cocktail menu, and our friends that were with us also had some that were so cleverly named that I couldn't help it.
Yeah, everything there had a retro theme, and their cocktail menus all named after stuff from video games.
From our childhood. I mean, come on. When we walked into Pints and Pixels, because you have to, on Clinton Street, I think it is, that's where it's located. We go in and you go up to, you have to take an elevator or the stairs to get up. So it's on
the second
another
floor.
level. And when you walk out on that second level, oh my goodness, a whole row of video games, stand-up video games from what I used to do every weekend as a kid.
Oh, yeah. You were playing Frogger, Ms. Pac-Man. I know that there was some Galaga played.
Oh, Space Invaders.
There was a Space Invaders.
Yeah.
I was playing Joust.
Cubert.
And Cubert.
Oh.
And that's just in the first few feet as you walk in. And this place is huge.
It is. It's huge. And there was a Spider-Man pinball machine, a Star Wars pinball machine.
Addams Family. Great stuff.
So great. And the cocktail menu was inspired by all of that.
And you could be playing Ms. Pac-Man
while having a Ms. Pac-Man's Power Pellet.
And what a cute presentation. It's actually served in a very small goblet.
It's like a little shot glass.
A little bigger than a shot glass.
But it's pretty.
Almost the size of a busking cup. Nice and round, so it's almost looks like a Power Pellet.
Oh, it was so cute. I had to get a picture with Miss Pac-Man with that drink in my hand. It had a beautiful pink color, and I think that comes from the grenadine in it.
Yeah, that one has whipped cream vodka, rum chata, and grenadine.
Rum chata, people. Rum chata.
And that's a weird sounding combination, and when you combine them, it is an even more surprising result.
It looks like a pink smoothie. But it tastes like, rum chata is like that. You got nutmeg and not really overpowering cinnamon flavors.
But some.
And it's it reminds me of the holidays. That just by itself, the rum chata does. But then you put the whipped vodka, and it's like a nod to whipped cream, and the grenadine adds the sweetness. It just looks like a hot pink smoothie that packs a a punch in one shot.
It does, but the flavor that I got from it when I had one tasted like almost like rum raisin.
Well, because the rum chata.
Well, the rum chata, but it's a combination. When you get the grenadine, that cherry from the grenadine, and the cinnamon and the vanilla from the whipped cream, it does something. And what a great flavor! Very unexpected,
smart,
and just yes, it packs a punch, but it doesn't taste really boozy.
No, but it does in its. It's served as a shot, and it can pack a punch.
And you had another throughout the night. You had a couple of others from the game themed menu as well.
I did. I had the Princess Peach Cosmo.
Princess Peach being a nod to Mario Brothers.
And I never really played Mario Brothers, but Princess Peach Cosmo, Cosmopolitans, they're delicious. And this one had vodka, peach schnapps, triple sec, cranberry, and lime juice. And it was served with a peach slice.
Very pretty presentation.
Yeah, it wasn't a tall martini glass, which I thought was really smart considering that people might order it. And then there were tables by the video games where you could actually set your drink and then play, because they don't want you setting the drinks on the video games.
They have signage everywhere that says don't put your drinks on the games, and then they provide you those side tables. Super smart.
Super smart. So the presentation was super smart of that beverage.
And let me just say that between that beverage and you also got the Frogger. That I know you got the Frogger. I drank the Frogger because as we've what many of you don't know is that Amy does not like mint flavored things, and she
mint.
had to try this because of the name. She loves Frogger. This particular drink had Godiva white chocolate liqueur, cream de menthe, and milk, and this was served in a martini glass with chocolate syrup drizzle. Now, she didn't like the mint, but the drink itself was fantastic if you like that type of drink.
Yeah, and if they had made the Frogger, I guess, with a melon type of take, instead of a mint type of take, I might have been a bigger fan of something like that. But it was a creamy drink, and I'm all about that Godiva white liqueur. I'm a white chocolate fan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sign me up. But just that mint, I wasn't, no. Like anything like that minty, almost mouthwashy kind of flavor.
Well, for those of us that like things like Andy's Candies and chocolate mint and all that, this was a great dessert drink. And I will tell you this.
I applaud you.
These drinks were very well crafted. They were beautifully presented, and we have been to a number of places. Drink prices here ranged between $6 and $9 at the most expensive. We've been to places that would charge you upwards of $14 for some of these mixed drinks.
I would say everything, even going back to their food, reasonably priced.
Very reasonably priced.
On the menu as a whole.
They also did a great job in terms of managing the floor. They have security personnel there. Yep. But, the cocktails were, these are not watered down. These are very well made cocktails with, with name brand liquors in them, so you're getting your money's worth there.
They had another gorgeous drink called the Gin and Sonic.
Yes.
And Sonic comes from what video game?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah. And isn't there a movie coming out very shortly?
Yes.
Or did it already come out?
It's coming out. The trailer was just released.
Oh, that's why. That's what I was thinking of. So, yeah. So the Gin and Sonic, it's a gin and tonic, but it has... it's blue. It's a beautiful color blue.
Now, was that blue from
I believe Curacao?
Was it enough to really change the flavor?
No, I really honestly got the gin and tonic flavors. Really, really. It was a beautiful drink, but I don't think that killed the flavor of normally what you would get in a gin and tonic.
So cocktail menu was a win for you.
Definitely.
Even though I took the Frogger.
Yeah, even though you took the Frogger, I can appreciate that people who like that mint flavor will like that drink.
Well, and if strong or craft cocktails is not your cup of tea, their beer list here is fantastic. They had over 15 different craft beers available on tap. I ended up trying a couple different ones while we were there that I never had before. One was from Goat Island Brewery, and that's called Peace, Love, and Hefeweizen. And if you are a fan of German Hefeweizen beers, so you get that that hazy wheat beer, color. Just a fantastic flavor, medium body, medium carbonation, notes maybe a little bit of coriander, maybe a little bit of orange peel, kind of in the nose.
Yeah,
just an excellent drinking beer if you like something like, say, a Blue Moon.
Yeah, that's nice. The Hefeweizen kind of.
It's kind of what I would. Yeah, it's kind of what I would. I think maybe better than a Blue Moon. But
better than a Blue Moon, better than a Shock Top.
But it's kind of in that general category.
Although they are good. I like this brewery a lot, and we saw this brewery quite often on several different menus.
We did.
Because it's local.
Yeah, and they do a number of different ones, and we tried a couple while we were there. So I'm a fan of Goat Island and would try them again.
Different places, yeah.
And then I also tried another that's a Georgia brewery. This is from Jekyll Brewing, and they are doing a pineapple habanero IPA.
Speaking of spice.
Yeah, again, I'm a spice guy. Spice beers tend to attract me, and because I just want to see what they're doing with it. I have tried a couple that are really using the heat and the peppers as a gimmick. And then there's Jekyll. Jekyll,
you liked it.
I was shocked at how much I like this beer. I had a couple of these because it was that good. Mm-hmm. Everything about this beer was subtle. The hops, since it's an IPA, sometimes they smack you right in the face. They were very subtle.
And sometimes they're piney, sometimes they're citrusy.
This I think went more towards the citrusy side of things.
Okay.
But the pineapple that they used in this, again, a lot of people would think this is going to taste like a dull pineapple cup. Actually, no.
Not sweet?
A little bit of, no, not sweet at all, but a little bit of kind of an aroma of pineapple after you swallow.
Oh.
It was very subtle.
Okay.
A little bit of fruitiness from the habanero. And unlike some pepper beers, not a whole lot of heat.
No.
A little bit of tingle on your tongue. It built, if you had a couple of these, by the end of the second one, you'd go, oh, I'm having a pepper beer. Mm-hmm. But the first one, nah, you're not really going to get hit in the face with it at all. Yeah. Really, really drinkable. This one comes in at 6.7% ABV. Mm-hmm. So be careful with how drinkable it is, because it might be a little too drinkable. And I didn't mention it, the Hefeweizen, the Hefeweizen was a 5.5. So both of those are kind of sessionable, but again, we were at walking distance from our hotel. So, like we always say, if you're going to go out and enjoy, do so responsibly, use a ride share. Yeah. But those were my real takeaways from the menu there, or the drink menu.
I think they had a wide variety of beer, and they have some cleverly created cocktails.
Delicious food.
Delicious.
And all the entertainment you could possibly want.
Especially if you grew up as a child of the 80s and 90s, and that you just wanted kind of a nostalgia playback of video games from your childhood.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
So we'll have some other items that we didn't get to in this episode and last episode coming up in Quick Bites this week. Yeah. We have not forgotten. We have got some great stuff coming.
Seriously.
Regarding Green Bus Brewing.
Oh, yeah.
Yellowhammer Brewing. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about Campus 805. And under the radar. We don't want to let them slip under the radar.
Right, exactly.
But
I see what you did there. Yeah.
So we've got some more stuff coming in quick bites, so stay tuned for that.
Yes.
And then we are going to be heading to Tampa.
Yes, we
this
are. We are coming up on our, second anniversary, unbelievable to say, of the podcast. And the very first race we ever did on the podcast was the Tampa Beer Run benefiting My Hope Chest.
And we are back.
It is back at Al Lopez Park in Tampa, and they have just released some of the beer selections, some local, I think all local
this year.
Yes, and we cannot wait to take that run and share those with you, as well as some good eats from the Tampa area.
So we're going to have some great stuff coming up on the show this week and leading up to next week's show. So we hope that you guys enjoyed our final in-depth episode from our trip to Huntsville, Alabama. And we really want to hear from you about your travel tips.
Oh, yes.
So don't forget. Call in or shoot us an email.
We'll have the number and the email in the show notes.
So, all right. Well, that is another episode of the podcast in the can.
We will be talking to you about all of those things a little later on this week and next week. Have a great week. Have a great run or a great commute if you're listening to us on any one of those. And we just thank you for staying with us. And hey, don't forget, if you enjoy the show, go on over to iTunes, give us a rating, give us a review. We would love to hear from you there as well.
It helps with discoverability.
Yeah.
There's a ton of great podcasts out there, and it's hard for little podcasters like us to, get noticed, and your ratings and reviews actually help us in the rankings. So we'd really appreciate you heading over there and giving us a rate and a review.
Have a great week, and we will talk to you soon. It's Amy.
And Dana.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having a great second year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're at Run, Eat, Drink Pod. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net so you can click on the iTunes link and subscribe so you won't miss a minute where we accomplish, explore, and indulge. Come along with us. See you next time.